Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So this video is going to be about how being raised in a dysfunctional household can cause people to choose the wrong type of romantic partner. Now, this video is basically piggybacking off of a Twitter thread that I posted yesterday. So I will post that thread in the description box in case you want to read it. You can go and check it out. So the first fact is that 90% of your brain is developed by the time you are 5 years old. So what that means is that between the ages of 0 and 5, a lot of your personality traits, a lot of the way your brain is programmed to think and perceive the world has already been implanted into you. That means that a large part of who you are and a large part of how you act is based off of what your family has been implanting in your mind. So basically, for the first couple years of your life, you are a walking tape recorder and people can implant anything they want to implant within your mind. I have a whole video on how your childhood affects your adult relationships. I'll link it in the description bar, and I'll leave a drop down card so that you can click on it. But specifically in this video, I'm going to be speaking about people pleasers and attention seekers. Now, you can be one, or you could be the other, or you can be both, but a lot of the time people from dysfunctional households end up being both people pleasers and attention seekers, and this directly impacts who they choose as a romantic partner. So let me start off with people pleasers, because being a people pleaser ties into how we really choose our romantic partners, and the attention seeking part is more so how we react once we're in that relationship. If you're the type of person that you feel like you let people walk all over you, you're afraid of saying no to people, you constantly dismiss your feelings in order to appease other people, or you don't want to express yourself openly because you're afraid that they're going to reject you based on telling your own truth, then you might be a people pleaser. Really, being a people pleaser is just a defense mechanism. If you were physically or verbally abused or attacked, being a people pleaser as a child pretty much saved you from that abuse. I need to make the abuser happy in order for them to not abuse me. People pleasing in childhood could mean safety. But if you were not directly abused, and when I say directly, I mean like verbally or physically hit, and you were just emotionally neglected, like your parents didn't pay you much mind or they didn't really care about your feelings, then people pleasing means being seen and loved. So it makes complete sense why a child would do this, to get their basic needs met. So if you are a people pleaser, there's really absolutely no reason to be ashamed at all, because it's really not your fault. You had no say-so, no control over what you had to do to survive in your household. So basically, this type of dynamic teaches children that it is safer and better for your own well-being to abandon your own feelings, abandon your own sense of self, and cater to those around you. Which is absolutely horrible that any child would be put in that situation where they have to completely abandon their own identity or dismiss their own feelings just to appease their parents or the people that are raising them. As adults, people pleasers come off as extremely happy, extremely loving, extremely giving, and extremely caring. But underneath all of that is a very fearful, insecure, isolated, broken inner child. And because of that broken inner child, people pleasers have a tendency to behave dysfunctionally and attract dysfunctional relationships. Like, you would think that being a people pleaser, since you require more love than the average person, that you would actively seek out a person who can reciprocate your love or who can give as much as you give, but that's not the case. Actually, instead of saying you, in this video, I'm going to say we, because I'm a people pleaser too, so, I'm right there with you, so I completely understand. We tend to pick out, instead of the partners that can give us the love that we deserve or the love that we actually need, we pick out instead emotionally unavailable people. Now, why do we do that? We do that because comfort. We are so used to people pleasing our way into the hearts of our parents or our family that we can't function in a relationship without being a people pleaser, because that is our definition of love. And that's the only type of love that we know and the only type of love that we're comfortable with. And so an emotionally unavailable person gives us as people pleasers a chance to save them, fight for their love. That's what love means to us. And when people enter our lives who are trying to love us correctly and love us properly, we tend to immediately reject them, because if we're not fighting for it, then our brains don't perceive it as actual love. We get bored, we get turned off, and we just reject good people. again, something not to feel ashamed of, because this has been programmed into your mind and you don't even realize that you're doing it. Now, on the flip side of people pleasers is the emotionally unavailable person that we tend to attract, or we tend to be attracted to. Now, emotionally unavailable people have a very similar upbringing as people pleasers. Emotionally unavailable people are the children who could not, no matter what they did, no matter how much they tried to please their parents, could not do it. So what they end up doing instead is detaching from their emotions and just adopting this I don't care attitude. These are the kids that grow up to be adults who act like they're completely emotionless, right? But they're not. They're not emotionless. They're just detached from their emotions, but they have emotions. And you can see how a people pleaser and an emotionally unavailable person can fit so perfectly together, because a people pleaser needs somebody to chase, needs somebody to please, to fight for the love, you know? And the emotionally unavailable person is that person who needs a lot of love as well, but they're afraid to admit it, and they're afraid to get close to people because they are very untrusting of people. So they need to be in that relationship with a people pleaser who's going to constantly chase them and fight for them in order to even feel secure in a relationship. When I'm talking about emotionally unavailable people or manipulative people that people pleasers attract, I don't want anybody to take that as I'm saying they're like horrible people. Some of them are, but a lot of them have just been hurt in childhood in the same way that people pleasers have. It's like two sides of the same coin. Now, how do we end up attracting emotionally unavailable people as people pleasers? Because we do it all the time, but we don't realize how and why we're doing it. So as a people pleaser, most likely you have a low self-esteem, right? That just comes along with being a people pleaser. You're constantly feeling insecure and fearful that you're going to lose the person that you're fighting for, right? Naturally, people pleasers have a very hard time making eye contact with people. That can attract manipulative and emotionally unavailable people. Now, let me explain. Emotionally unavailable people, they tend to study the emotions of those around them so that they can appear to be more emotional, because they're aware that they're emotionless, or that they're aware that they don't come across as emotionally healthy. So they actually study the body language and the eye contact and the facial expressions of those around them in order to mimic them, to make themselves appear more emotionally intelligent. So we have the people pleaser who's avoiding eye contact, right? They're not even looking directly into the eyes of the manipulative or emotionally unavailable person. And then we have the unemotionally available person who is studying the people pleaser, so they're able to see that you are a people pleaser. Like, they're able to read you because they study you, and you're not able to read them. And therefore, you can't even run from them even if you wanted to, because you can't even really identify them until you're in the relationship with them. This is all going on a subconscious level, and that's why people are probably watching this video or reading this thread like, what the hell? Like, it's very shocking to come to that realization, and it's very hurtful to come to the realization that, you know, because of the things that you've gone through in childhood that you had no control over, that now you can't even function healthily in a relationship, you know. But these things are curable, they're fixable, which, okay, I'll get into that later. Okay, so then next up would be the attention seeking, right? Because the attention seeking tends to come into play once we already are in a relationship. This is how we act when we're in a relationship. So what children tend to do when their parents are neglecting them or emotionally just not paying them any mind or invalidating their feelings is that they will act instead of ask. Right? As a child, you can't ask your parents for attention. You can't, I mean, you can if you can, you know, when you can speak, but you don't have the mind frame to do so because you're not an adult. So if you want attention from your parents and you're not getting any, you're going to act out as a child instead of asking. And you carry that with you into adulthood. So attention seekers tend to act out in their relationship instead of asking. Like, for example, I have been in relationships where sometimes I would just pick a fight. Like, I would just do something to just pick a fight because I felt like that was the only way I can get attention. Now, in my head, I wasn't like, I'm going to pick a fight today because I want attention. It's all on a subconscious level. It's like you just have this weird feeling inside of you, and then all of a sudden you're pushing their buttons, and then when they're reacting, you almost feel like relieved. And I know that that's sick, because it's like, you know, if you're with a good person who actually wants to treat you well, that's a form of abuse as well, to be purposely like trying to push them to the edge just so you can get that type of attention from them. But again, this is not something that's done purposely. It's on a subconscious level. So you can't even really stop until you actually become aware of why you're doing it, which is why, you know, I make these videos so people can become aware. So yeah, attention seekers, they always need validation. And the only way that people can show them that they care is by getting angry. So if you can anger your partner, then that means that they care. That's the only way we perceive love, and get under somebody's skin or push their buttons and get their attention in that manner. And this can be dangerous also because if you are with somebody who is like emotionally manipulative and abusive, they can easily see that you are an attention seeker and they can withhold that attention as a means of punishment. So you're acting out, you're cursing them out, you want to talk about your feelings, you're going crazy, and they are just like blocking your number, ignoring you, not talking to you. Now, when I say that, I don't want people to think that, oh, you shouldn't detach from somebody or you shouldn't, you know, cut somebody off when they're acting crazy, because you have that right to. But I'm talking about the people who have no intention of leaving their partners. They are just ignoring them and blocking them and all that, just as a form of punishment to them. You have to be able to decipher the difference. So yeah, attention seeking, yeah, dangerous to your partner if the partner is healthy because you're getting under their skin constantly, and dangerous if your partner is unhealthy or manipulative because they will use your attention seeking against you to hurt you. So basically what people pleasing and attention seeking come down to is being raised in a dysfunctional household where your needs are just not met, and you have to get them met in a dysfunctional manner, and then you grow up and continue on that cycle of getting those needs met in a dysfunctional manner. It is a really sad reality when you come to this conclusion about yourself, because you know, it's just kind of like, it's not fair. Like, I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to be born into this family. I didn't ask to be, you know, mistreated. It's not fair. And it's true, it's not fair, but that's the cards that a lot of us were dealt. And that's the cards that a lot of us just have to play with. So it's not impossible to change your life and change the way you think and change the way that you interact in relationships. You don't have to let your dysfunctional upbringing mean that for the rest of your life you can't have a healthy relationship. And I'm speaking on healthy relationships in terms of romance, platonic relationships, relationship with co-workers. As humans, it's important for us to interact with each other. We are social creatures. So this information is important because you want to be able to interact with people in a healthy manner. Once you become aware of all this behavior and why you do it, there's a way to fix it and there's a way to change it. Now, this video is going to be way too long if I get into like the steps to changing it, so I'm going to do another video on how to change people pleasing and then how to change attention seeking separately, because it's a lot of information. And I just want to remind people to just not be ashamed, because it was not in your control. You're just doing what you have to do, and you're just using the tools that you have to get by. So, you know, there can't be any shame in that, especially if you are acknowledging the problems and you're taking the steps towards healing. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I hope you found this helpful. Like I always say in my videos, share your story down below. Let us know, you know, how your dysfunctional household has resulted in you constantly, you know, sabotaging your relationships, just so we can support each other and uplift each other. Okay guys, so I will see you guys in the next one. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.